All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Empower Hour. Of course, this is designed to go ahead and bring value to empower you, the agent, and the agency owners to take your business to the next level. And that is why I'm so incredibly excited to introduce our very first guest on the Empower Hour series. He is a two-time Hall of Fame producer, owner of FFL All Stars, one of the newest integrity partners at the young age of 24. But let me explain something to you. When I heard this young man last week on a call, I was so impressed with his wealth of knowledge and wisdom in this business. His wisdom goes beyond his years. I'm so excited to have him on. Get your pen and paper ready to take some notes. If you don't have that, get your voice memo out because he is going to be dropping bombs. So it's my honor and privilege to welcome to the call to the Empower Hour, Mr. Wylie Hawkins. Wylie, how you doing, bud?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. I feel like if anybody gets an introduction that good, they're gonna have a good day.
I learned that from none other than Mark Mead, bro.
Yeah, man. If I'm gonna try to live up to all the hype, but I appreciate you guys getting me on. And for everybody that's on here at 9 Eastern, or if it's earlier, it's a good sign. The early bird gets the worm, man.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, Wylie, like I said, I have a page full of notes from last week, and I can't wait to go into that. But in learning about you, right, through your social media, like I've got some other things that I want to take a deeper dive on. But before we go into all that, man, tell us a little bit about who Wylie Hawkins is or was before FFL. What were you doing? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about you, man.
Yeah, so just to kind of sum it up in a nutshell, so I'm a Colorado native. I was born up in the mountains. And so what happened was I went to college like everybody else, right? And I was kind of looking at my career path with what I was studying, and then COVID hit. And I was thinking to myself, does it make sense to pay $28K a year into college and go to classes over Zoom? I was like, probably not, right? So I got started in sales. I worked for a practice company in the life insurance industry, and there was no leads. There was low comp. It was a lot of bait and switch. And for 2 months I did that. I pretty much made it essentially. But what I realized was there was other opportunities out there. So I stopped. I didn't work for about 2 months. And then, I was praying to God one day and I was like, look, God, I need a sign that says Wylie Hawkins, do this. Like, I'm feeling really lost right now. And next thing you know, I get a phone call, not from God. That'd be pretty cool. I hope whoever's paying attention there. But I got a phone call from an admin who works under Zach Twardowski, and they connected me and Zach. They showed me the FFL structure compensation model, and I was like, look, I don't care. I just need to make money. So that's a little bit about me. I just got the typical college dropout story. And yeah.
There you go. That's awesome, man. And for all of you that want to build a team, one of the things Sean mentioned earlier, we're big on warm market, right? But you're partnered with Zach, and Zach actually responded to a ZipRecruiter ad.
Yeah.
And so I think that Zach probably took that to heart and said, hey, this stuff works. And you responded to an ad as well. Was that like a ZipRecruiter, or was that?
Yeah. So funny story. So I don't know if it was ZipRecruiter or another website, but you could type in life insurance license, and then it would pull up any resume on there that would say you had a life insurance license. So they actually cold called me. Now, Zach has about 5 really big legs. If you guys don't know Zach Twardowski, there's a serious problem. He's like number 8 in the company, but he's got 5 big legs. Every single one of his big legs has came from cold market. So a lot of people will say to you, cold market doesn't work. I don't agree with that because I've seen it work for me personally. Obviously, I will say warm market is the best way to find new people and bring them into the business, and we can get into details on how. But yeah, Shannon, I wanted to cover that because a little bit of everything, as long as you keep planting seeds, is going to pay out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so that's like how you got into the business, but let's break that down a little bit more. What does Wylie like to do? Like, tell us a little bit more about
Oh, you
yourself.
want to know actually
Yeah,
about me?
absolutely, man. We want to get to know you, bro.
Okay, cool, man. That's awesome. I was like, I don't think people really care, so let's just get
We
into it. But
do.
no,
Yeah.
man. So my life's pretty simple. I like going to the gym. As you guys can see, Shannon seems pretty fit. If I could keep up with Shannon, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I like going to the gym. I'm a big basketball player. I played throughout all of high school. Had a couple college offers, but I heard so many stories of people losing love for the game. So, and I also love to party. Let's just be transparent, folks. I love to party, man. There's no doubt about it. So I was like, man, I'm gonna party. What are you talking about? That was freshman year. I don't party now, but so I play basketball, and yeah, that's pretty much. I work out, play basketball. I work. I like to travel. I play a lot of poker. I love poker, competitive poker player. So
Nice.
yeah.
Competitive poker player.
Oh
Texas
yeah.
Hold'em?
Oh yeah.
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 Interesting. All
Mm-hmm.
right. We're neighbors since you're down there. You're in North Carolina now, right?
Yeah.
What part of North Carolina?
Hickory.
Hickory, North Carolina. That's not too far from Chesapeake, I don't think. Chesapeake, Virginia, southeast corner, maybe
Yeah, we're probably three.
4 hours.
Yeah, which isn't bad.
So like around Greensboro area.
It's an hour. Yeah, it's an hour away from Greensboro.
Hour away. Okay, got it. Awesome, man. That's always nice to know what people like to do and to get to know you on a deeper level. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So that's interesting. So you're a competitive person, obviously. You know, there's discipline with basketball, right? Are you pretty good at it?
You know, in the Bible it says, "Let other people praise you." So someone will have to praise me soon, Shannon, and answer that question.
Because I suck at it. I'm terrible at it. I would never want to play at basketball, right? I'd love to play
I'm
a game of
decent.
poker with
I
you.
play enough where if I'm not good at this point, there should be a problem. I should retire.
Okay, all right. There
You know what I mean, Georgia?
Gotcha. All right, so that's awesome. Now, okay, so you partner with Zach. That was one of the things I wanted to get into. You sent the resume, and that was in April of 2020 that you responded to that ad and you got started. But I saw that in one of your posts, that was in August, you made a post that you had some good success. There's like you were amazed at the age of 20 that you made 41,000, right? So I'm assuming that you paid 41,000, and you said that it was 2 short months. So looking at the timeline, I'm like, all right, so you started in April, and then so August, you said 2 short months. So was there a little bit of a gap there, Wylie, that took you to get up to speed?
Yeah, there was a big gap. You know, it was. So obviously the first thing is a learning curve, and that was the biggest one that I needed to, you know, put in my favor. So there's a couple things if you guys are new that I would be recommending. Number one is get as many at bats as you can, right, with your lead flow. So figure that out. Number two, get a schedule. Figure out, all right, what days am I going to be willing to work? Number three, which is super important, is figure out what you're willing to sacrifice to make this happen. I don't think a lot of people go through that. So if you guys are willing to go through and write this down and just say, hey, you know, this is my goal. This is what I want to, where I want to be. This is how much money I want to have in my bank account in 90 days. Then next to it, just go, hey, this is what I'm willing to sacrifice. Because if those don't align, let's say you're like, I have to sacrifice Saturdays to make this goal work. And you come to think of it and you're like, I love my Saturdays. I love hanging out with my kids and my families. I don't want to sacrifice Saturdays. Then don't put your goal to be X, right? You got to change your goal or change your work ethic. But what's really important is people that don't have a vision for themselves are running around aimlessly. You might think you're moving forward, but you're really on a treadmill. And that's what I've been seeing with a lot of people on our group is they have no vision, no blueprint. So I think that's super important. But Shannon, to answer your question, it was three things. So this is my favorite equation in the business. Workflow plus lead flow equals cash flow. Like Omar, that's it, man. Workflow, lead flow equals cash flow. Like, bro, if you work super hard, 40, 50 hours a week, you stay consistent, you buy $1,000 worth of leads, you call them, you do a couple presentations a day, boom. If you get one sale a day, everything's going to be solved for you. So that's all the business boils down to. And we make it much more complicated than it is. But that's what I would say, Shannon, is the biggest reasons why I was able to put up big numbers right out the gate. And also I was a student. Like, I studied everything. Every presentation I did, I called somebody. I was always on trainings. I took notes. I applied right away.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you mentioned during the other call, that you're always on podcasts, whether you're in the gym or whatever, and you're always learning. You know, the car is your university, right? You know, with today's technology, all the trainings that we have, everything that's available now from FFL, like, has changed by leaps and bounds since I started in 2019, right? And there's just so much more available to us as an agent that's completely free. It just, the only cost is a desire to learn, right? So you were a true student of the game, and you wanted mastery in the business, and, you know, testament to your success. Now, go ahead.
I'm going to just interject really quick. Something I was thinking about is, so we got New Year's coming up. New year, new me. Who's excited, right? I hate that shit. I'm sorry. But, like, I hate it, right? Because it's like, man, if you want to make a change, let's do it today, right? Let's do it, you know? Now, I think it's important to find your stride before New Year's. But, like, who's going to go on a diet? Don't raise your hand. Don't do nothing. But, like, my mom, for example, she's, like, talking about a diet. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that's really good, because she's watching what she's intaking into her body. But, like, for us at FFL, what's our diet that we listen to? Like, who are the people that you listen to all the time, right? Like, are you calling people at the same level as your production? Are you calling people that are below, like, in desperation, just freaking out, right? Don't call those people. Call Shannon. Call me, right? So I think that's super important, is you got to think about what's going into your head, because that's your diet for your brain, right? That's super important. So focus on trainings, focus on good content. If you guys can get it in that type of framework, you're going to be a lot more aware of what you listen to. And I think that's really crucial, because it's the biggest muscle we got.
Yeah, and to great point, man. And to dovetail off of that, okay? And this is all information that I'm finding out about you on social media.
Dude, this is awesome. I've never had this done.
Yeah,
so you're doing a fabulous job.
Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wylie, had you been a silent agent, do you think that you and I would be talking right now?
Absolutely not.
Right. So that's the power of social media. I've been able to connect with Wylie on a level even deeper than what Wylie even knows that I know about him.
Yeah.
Right. Just through social media. And through preparation for this, I found out, you know, exactly what you just said, Wylie, was, you know, one of my questions is about adversity. Right. And there's a couple things that you've gone through that I found very interesting. And one of the things that we were talking about with Sean this past or a couple days ago, right, at a Speaker U event, was support. Right. And one of the things that is interesting, that I've always found interesting, is show me, you know, 5 people that are around you. Right. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Now, you found it very important to go ahead and surround yourself with like-minded people that you wanted to emulate, right? Like Zach and others, Easton Padden, right? Yeah. But one of the things that you said, and I want to break it down a little bit, is that you had to get rid of some people early on in your career as well, that weren't really breathing life into the success that you wanted. Actually, they were probably suffocating it, right? Yeah. So you had to remove some people. Tell us a little bit about that and why that was so important to you.
Yeah, so I really went through a lot of just like self-help books and stuff like that in the very beginning. I was also getting sober at that time in my life. So I was sober for about like 14 months. So I was on this trajectory of just, you know, continuing to better myself. And I got asked this question of, who are the 10 people that you hang around? And I list them off. And I go, this guy, boom, 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 boom. And then next to it is like, do they like help you grow, or are they holding you back? And then I went through it, and it was like 9 people were holding me back. And I was like, goodness gracious. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, none of these people are challenging me or challenging themselves, right? And so I had to look at it and I go, well, man, I love most of these people. Like, these people have been in my life for a long time, right? So what I had to do was I had conversations with every single one of them. I said, look, don't invite me out. Don't invite me to the party. Don't invite me to the club. Don't invite me to this. For the next 90 days, I'm going to try to get this business off the ground. Okay. Now, if you truly do care about me, I'm going to find out, because you won't call me. All right. We can go and get lunch. All right. And so what happened was, I have two friends that still supported me, and the rest were like, they were calling me. They thought I was just going to come back. The old Wylie was going to be there. And what I realized was, man, like, these people truly weren't my friends. We were only friends because we were drinking buddies. Right. And so what I would challenge y'all today is just go down and be like, all right, who are the 10 people that I hang around? Are they forcing me to grow, or are they holding me back? Right. And now it doesn't mean you got to cut them all off, but if you can have that type of conversation and set quality expectations with these folks, you're going to be able to move differently. You're not going to get those distractions. Right. And that's what I had to do. And then, you know, I had a point in my time where, so I usually live with my agents, which is kind of funny. Now, I'm 24. Most of my agents are like 23, 24. So it's like a bachelor house, right? So I was living with 5 guys. They're all like, there's a mix. Like, one was one of our top reps, and the others were newcomers that I thought were going to be really good. One was my cousin and a good friend. Now, what happened in this house was, slowly and surely our momentum went in the wrong direction. We started all, you know, talking negative about the business, talking about all our problems, but never with solutions. So what happened was, all our productions dropped, and we were in this house of sorrow, right? It was just this house. It was pitiful, is what my mom likes to call it. Just pitiful, right? And so I was like, man, what's the one thing I can change right now? And I was like, I'm going to move. Like, I can afford 2 leases. I'm going to move. So I moved, right? I actually moved in with my mother for 3 months. I was like, Ma, I need to come back home. Hickory, North Carolina, the only thing that's here is a YMCA and her house. So I'm going to work out and I'm going to work. And so I had to change my environment immediately. And the results, I was looking at my production the other day. It went from 15, 15, 15. Immediately when I went to Hickory, 25, 30 right away. And I was like, wow, isn't that crazy? Like, you truly are a product of your environment. But I hope that answered your question.
It does, man. That was super strong, dude. But you had that desire to just get better, right? Everything that we do in life comes from a deep rooted desire. Like, one of the things that you said last week, and I don't want to get it wrong. I've got it on my notes, and I'll get to that quote here in a second if I can find it. But you said something to the effect of the oh my goodness, something about the desire, not the desire, but something with the reward is sweeter. If the reward is great enough.
So I could break down this concept if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead, break that down. I'm trying to find that quote because there's so
all right,
good.
Monica, I see you paying attention, so you're gonna use you in the example. I like your hair too, looking good. So, Monica, let's say on December 31st, I'm gonna give you $1 million, but boom, I show it to you. Like, you see the money, it's like briefcase, like in the movies. I let you touch it. You're like, oh, baby, this is gonna be awesome, right? But I'm like, Monica, in order for you to get this money, I need you to do 3 things for me, okay? Every single day, you got to be up at 6. Every day, you got to do some type of movement, like 45 minutes to exercise, walk, Pilates, yoga, whatever you want. 45 minutes is something. And then the third thing, I don't know if you drink or not, but it's an easy example. You cannot partake in any drinking, whatever, right? Would you do that? 100%?
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't like to get up early, just so you know, okay?
Exactly, right? She's going to have to sacrifice something and make a change. Now, why do you think that is? Because in her mind, without a shadow of a doubt, the belief is so high that the obstacles she has to go through do not matter, right? So if this is really important when you hire people too, and for yourself, when you hire people, if their belief is so high that they can make money here and they believe what you're saying, and they feel like this is the opportunity that can help them financially and change, you know, their situation, they don't care about contracting. They don't care about 2 weeks of licensing. They don't care about anything. All they want to do is dial the phones and start making money. So the biggest thing is if you can get your belief, and again, I'm going to talk about vision a lot today, but have a clear vision of where you want to be, and you truly think about that, and then you backtrack your goals, all these obstacles won't matter. Like, personally, my goal for myself is obviously to make a lot of money, but that's not enough. I want to truly help people and serve people, because I know what it feels like to be just pitiful. Like, I've been, sad, down in the dumps, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that, but like, we've all been at low points. I hate feeling like that. If I can be a small piece in someone's life to help you get out of that, that's all I could ever ask for. I think that's a bigger legacy than money. So for me right now, that's my desire, is to change 100 people's lives, right? And so like right now I'm at like 20, I feel like. So I'm thinking in my head, all right, yesterday I had no sales and I called for 12 hours straight. And at the end of the day, I always jot down stuff, and I was like, how was today? I always ask myself that question. I was like, today was amazing because I faced adversity and I had to be reminded of what my vision was. And so that's where I always take myself. No, today's a good day because I know my agents go through this. So how am I going to respond to show them that this is normal and we got to get back to it? So today, up early, going to go make some deals, get all my agents on so they can see that, the bounce back, right? But yeah, I think that's super important. You can talk about that with your personal life or when you bring agents on, and we can go into more details of that process. But Shannon, I think that's what you're trying to get out.
Yeah, absolutely. I found it. You said obstacles don't matter if the reward is high enough. Exactly. And, I thought that was an amazing quote that you had said. And getting to, now you started in home, and of course you had you had great success early on, but you did have that wasn't without adversity, right? And some of the things that you said, like one of the, I remember you said last week or this week on Monday's call, you said that you had to walk like 5 miles or something like that to get some appointment. But then I also found out that you did a video that Zach posted. And if you could take, a minute or two and touch base on that, Zach said you had every single reason to have a pity party, man. On this one weekend, you took a road trip to Oklahoma, right?
Oh my God.
And you had you lost your license, right? You couldn't, or something to that effect, and you couldn't get a rental car. You had to pay an Uber driver like $600 to take you around. You're getting beaten up by bugs. You said some really strange bugs, right?
I can't believe you found this story, Shannon. That's wild, man.
And you said that, but you turned that into reasons. Like you were just like, you were a pit bull. You just like stormed through it. You kept your vision. You went out, you helped families. And tell us a little bit about that, because you turned that negative into a positive, bro.
Yeah, so I'll talk to you about the story and then the lesson I learned and picked up from this. So, all right, I just turned 21, but my license expired 3 days before, or like a day before I turned 21. I did not realize that. So I book a flight down to Oklahoma. I spend all this money on leads. I get an Airbnb, yada, yada, yada. I have a rental car set up. I get to the airport. I go to the rental station. I'm like, hey, I'm here to pick up a car. Or whatever. I grab my car. I can't remember exactly how it went down. But long story short, they look at my license. Like, we can't give you this car. I'm like, no. Look, I'm 21. Like, I'm willing to pay the extra fee. Like, let's do it. And they're like, no, dude, your license is expired. And I'm like, no, it's not. Right. My eyes light up. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'll give you $100. Like, come on, just get me through. Like, I'm not going to crash. She's like, I'll lose my job. I'm not doing that. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. So I get in the car with this Uber driver and I'm hussing and fussing. And this guy's like, what's going on? I tell him my situation and he goes, dude, I used to be in sales. I was a door-to-door salesman for 30 years or something. He's like, I'm willing to take you around. And I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah, but you're obviously going to have to pay me top dollar. And I was like, well, dude, I'm going to be driving all across Oklahoma. Like, we're going to be working 12 hours a day. Like, are you open to that? And he's like, yeah. So we made a structure where I would cut him into the certain percentage of my deals, right? Then I get to my Airbnb. There's no Wi-Fi. I'm thinking to myself, oh, brother, who doesn't have Wi-Fi in an Airbnb? So I'm like, I have to dial outside. I go over to the neighbors and I'm like, hey, can I borrow your Wi-Fi? So I was like, there's a fence line. It was me in the corner, this neighbor's house, and I was connected to the Wi-Fi that way. And I'm dialing like outside. Shannon mentioned it. There's all these crazy bugs I've never seen in my life coming at me. And we made it happen. So long story short, I ended up writing 10 policies that weekend. It was a great weekend. The guy drove me around. Super blessed to have that guy in my life. But what I realized was most of us have a more sorrow in our life than good. It tends to be like, I think if you think about all the pain that you've gone through, you could think about all the stories like this in terms of like, what are the best times of your life compared to the worst? Like right off the top of my head, I can think about all the horrible times. I think that should be the motivator. Like you can be motivated by pain. It's one of the most powerful things ever. And so for me, I was like, I'm pissed. Like I'm just mad now. And so I was like, I'm going to take all this energy and just apply it to work. Like, I'm not going to be mad with the clients, but like I had a ton of energy. Right. And I was thinking about this for myself moving into this next year. And a lot of people will have words of affirmations like, oh, money flows to me like waterfalls. Right. Whatever you want to say. What I did was I wrote down the 10 things that people said to me in my life that I hated. Right. So I walked into my counselor's room and I heard them talking about students, and I was like right behind this door, and this was my senior year. And two of my counselors were saying, they're like, do you think Wylie Hawkins is going to wind up in jail, or how quickly do you think he's going to drop out? And I was like, what? Are they making bets on me? And I was like, man. And so like, that's one of the things I wrote down. Right. And there's a couple others, but you guys get the point. You don't always have to use all this positive stuff to motivate you. Like pain is an amazing emotion. So try to use that. I really do challenge you. Like think about everything, all the doubters, all the haters, all the naysayers, like use that, right? And pull on that when you're like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Well, I'm not going to let my counselor ever think that I'm not going to be successful. Like I can't wait to walk back in that room and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, that's so powerful, man. Like having that good chip on your shoulder, because there's good and bad chips, man. The bad chips can kind of hold you back, but the good chips, kind of like Sean, his teacher early on in his life said, hey, you're never going to have that Rolex watch. Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't,
Sean?
but he's got a real nice Rolex.
Yeah, he's got a really nice Rolex, and that's because, his teacher early on, Sean, basically, I'm going to, it's not verbatim, but like Sean had, an assignment, and Sean said he was going to have all this money and this and that. And he was like, you're poor. You're never going to have a Rolex. Poor people don't have Rolexes. Right. Mm-hmm. And so Sean went out and bought a Rolex when he hit it.
Awesome.
And so, good chips on your shoulder can definitely be a powerful motivator, man. And now, so you had early success on with struggles along the way in your in-home presentation. At what point did you transition over to telesales, and what were some of the early struggles that you had with that?
Yeah, so I started transitioning to telesales over a year ago at this point. I had a ton of struggle. I completely changed my presentation model. I was distracted. I did not enjoy dialing. I didn't have a great work environment. I had a hard time setting up getting into the application. I always struggled with banking objections. So like everything you guys have probably gone through yourselves, same deal. Now, for me, there's a couple things. Number one, I needed to create a good environment. So I was like, how can I work and make it fun and light for me? I was like, Zoom. Like if I was dialing with Georgia and Omar and Shannon, right? And we are all listening to each other's presentations, talking about life, having fun. Like I could sit there for 8 hours and dial. Like Georgia seems like a really nice lady, right? I already know Shannon. He's a great guy. Like I could go and dial for 8 hours. So that was number one, create a good work environment, right? And engage, which is super important. Number two was my presentation didn't need to change at all, right? And so all I had to do was maybe condense it a little bit. Like it's a tiny bit more transactional, but at the end of the day, it's pretty much the exact same. So I used the same presentation that I always did in the house because that worked. And then the third thing was I knew it was going to take me longer to learn this. So I just purchased more leads for the first 3 weeks. I said, I want to go through as many no's as I can and figure this out. Like if it's going to take me 100 presentations to learn this, instead of doing 100 presentations in a month and a half, 2 months, I want to do it in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, right? So it's like, how many leads do I need to get 100 presentations? And I think backtracking your goals is one of the most important things.
Yeah. Now, yeah, one of the things that I found, a presentation when I transitioned over from in-home to telesales, I didn't have to change. I was already successful at it like you. And you just change a few other things, qualifying questions, this and that. Do we have a player that can make a decision right now, this and that?
Right.
So great advice there. Now, one of the things that I took notes and you already touched on was lead flow, right? So you had mentioned before that your lead flow was higher in the beginning and then you were able to back it down to get similar results, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you had more at bats, right? You got better at it, right?
Yep.
Now let's talk about the lead types that you're going into. I know the ones that you mentioned last week. I don't want to steal your thunder. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Ethos abandoned cart. I had a new agent yesterday, bought 10 Ethos abandoned cart leads, wrote 2 deals. They were both really big. And then he wrote 5,400 a premium.
Nice.
So he spent like $150, maybe 200. That's crazy. That's insane, right? So this is my lead flow. Ethos abandoned cart. The mortgage protection, any type of old mail, 1 to 3 months is great. And I do like spending. I typically buy about like 5 of the new $27 Facebook mortgage leads. Those are great. And then I still do like instant with beneficiaries. Now, what's happening with the ILC is super cool. If you guys haven't seen the post by FFL USA, there's a grading system now, 1 through 100. So check out their post, and it goes through all these data points where they're starting to check and verify phone numbers. And essentially, it's just 100 is the highest probability of them purchasing a policy, right? And so all those leads are between an 87 to 100 rating. So check out that post. I don't want to give you guys information that is going to be untrue. That's false. So I just saw that the other day. I thought that was amazing. But those are my 3 lead types. Now, for me, I spend about $1,000, like $1,200 a week on leads. I average about 30K, 30 applications a month. And so I spend 4,000, right? Now, my skill set has developed a lot higher because I've been at this almost 4 years now. And we can talk about referrals, all that stuff. But in the beginning, it was like 10, 12, 14 a month. And all I was doing was like a 2X. But if I told George, I'm like, hey, if you put $100 in this ATM and next Sunday it's going to give you 200, that's still pretty good, right? Or it's like, I'm going to give you $100 now and the next week I'll give you 300. It's like Georgia would give me everything in her account because then she's going to 3X it, right? So that's what leads are. The only difference is not an ATM. It's just your work ethic in between that week. And as long as you can keep up your pace, you're going to get that ROI. But that's my lead flow. And that's how I always viewed leads.
Yeah. And you're like having a really, really successful month. You've already got 41 families helped this month, right? And one of the things that I've found, dude, is that your system is also replicatable. Your team is having success. One of your guys has already hit Hall of Fame this year, right?
Yep.
So kudos to that. It's just a testament to you and your leadership. Now, one of the things that we talk about that we're big here on Empower Hour is how we can go ahead and bring value to our clients and the products that we offer and how we can increase the value in ourselves. What's going to differentiate ourselves from the next agent? How is it that you and your agents are bringing value in yourselves or creating value in yourselves and the products that you offer to your clients?
Yeah, I think what's super important, and it might just sound almost silly because we're so used to it, but being a broker and having the access to the amount of products we have is super important. But what's more important is that you express this to them. So in the beginning of my presentation, what I always like to say is hey, look, So I'm actually contracted here through the state as a broker. There's going to be, plenty of companies I'm going to look at. You probably know most of them: Mutual of Omaha, Aetna, and Transamerica. You familiar with those? They go, yes. So perfect. So Georgia, instead of you calling this company, that company, and the other one and getting quotes and dealing with all of these crazy insurance reps, I'm your one-stop shop. Okay. I'm going to be able to take down your age, health, and income, input it to a little system, and boom, it spits out the best bang for your buck. Does that make sense? All right. So we're not calling anybody else. We're not shopping around because you're on the phone with the right guy today. Now, once we get that number, as long as it fits your needs, fits your budget, the hardest part is you can't buy this like when you go into a grocery store, you like it, you see it, you buy it. We got to get you qualified. You fall in, they're like, yeah, perfect. All right, what that looks like is I'm going to help you through an application. Okay, so at the very end, we're going to let you know today if you can get that coverage and give you that peace of mind. Now, does that all make sense? Perfect. Boom. Right from there, I go into, all right, what's your main concern? Yada, yada, yada. Now, that's one. The second thing is referrals. Now, Family First Life, if we're being honest, we do not do a good job at referrals. I have not been great at referrals myself, but I've been picking it up. This is what I'm doing for referrals, and this has been helping me keep a lot of people on the books. So when I get the beneficiary's name, I always get their phone number, right? Because it's just easy. They think it's a question in the app. So it's like, hey, who's your beneficiary? It's Cassidy. All right, perfect, nice. Where she live? Ask a couple questions, whatever. All right, perfect. What's her cell? Got it. Move past that. Once you wrap it all up, say, hey, I need you to put me in a group text with Cassidy because I need to go through and explain, number one, this benefit, and number two, how she's going to get process this claim. Okay. Because I want her to know everything so we can get her the money as quick as possible. Could you do that for me? Awesome. So at the end of the call, I'm already in a group chat with their daughter. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then I call the daughter and say, hey, Cassidy, just help your mom out. We got 10, 15,000 of coverage, whatever it is. I just need about 10 minutes of your time when you're done with work, just to go over and talk to you about the company, the process of how you're going to get this claim. Would you have 10 minutes around 5:30 or 6, whatever? Boom. We get them on the phone. Then what we're doing from there is, yes, I'll give them all the information about the carrier. And I ask them, hey, so, your mom mentioned you had a couple kids. Yeah. Okay. You have coverage through work, you said, right? Uh-huh. Do you have anything outside of work? Mm-mm. Has anyone broken down how that works when you retire? No. Okay. Got it. Boom. You break that down. You get over the work objection. You go, yeah. So your mom's policy for 15,000 is like $86. She's a little bit older. I'm looking at something right here. If we get you 50,000 for $36, because they're in their 30s, 40s, whatever. I'm like, it's only $36. Now, have you thought about putting anything into place before? Kind of. Got it. And then from there, boom, you just slowly start working it through. But honestly, it's like the easiest sale you could ever ask for. Now, I would challenge you, if you guys can start getting referrals like this. My persistency with Americo for 14 or whatever that number is 88, which I want to get it up to like 90. But that's only 12% falls off. Now that's huge because it's more important about the policy that stays on the books than the policy you sell and then lapses. Now, I feel like that's why I've been able to have better persistency, because if you can get multiple plans on the books.
Absolutely, man. That's powerful. Write that one down. That is huge. I know I already have, because I suck at it too, bro. Like I'm the worst at referrals, and I shouldn't be. It's just natural, and we should be taking advantage of that. That's one way that we can increase our ROI. One of the things that I learned this past weekend from Calvin from FFL Frontier, he just got his deal, right? And he was actually sharing with us how in an integrity formula, as far as profitability, you want to be able to increase your AP by 33%, increase your agents by 33%, and your average AP by 33%, right? So that's right there. That's how we're increasing, our overall amount of policies that we're writing, right? So that is huge, golden nugget there, man. And now, one of the things, thanks for sharing that, man. That's awesome on bringing value. Now, as far as early on in the process, because the majority of everybody on here is, for the most part, all telesales, right? And I think that one thing that a lot of agents struggle with early on, I know I did, is how are you disarming the client to gain their trust like immediately?
Yeah.
Because that's a major hurdle for a lot to overcome.
Yeah. So right away, what I do is I have them jot down my name and my license number. So that's like the first thing. So my opener is, hey, Shannon, yeah, Shannon, this is Wylie. We got the request for the basic life insurance. I have your date of birth is this blank. Is that right? Perfect. I'm the underwriter assigned to get everything over to you. Takes about 5-10 minutes. Just let me know when you have a pen and paper so we can knock this out. Once they do that, I give them all my credentials. Then from there, what's really important is vulnerability is one of the most important things in a presentation and, in my opinion, in life, right? So when people start opening up about their situations, relate, right? Like anytime someone says, I've had cancer, every single woman in my family has had cancer. So I'll share what that was like for our family, and then we can connect. The more connection, the more you're human, the bigger the trust becomes. Now, what's really important is at the end of the presentation. So before you present numbers, this is what I personally do. I say, hey, do you receive text on this phone? Yes. All right. I shoot them over a picture of my driver's license, my state insurance license, whichever state it is, and then all the companies I work for, or if you guys have mobile business cards, whatever. Say, hey, will you just make sure you got that? Yeah. And then I have a picture of me in a cowboy hat. So they always say something. So I know if they're going to see it. They're like, oh, I like that cowboy hat. That's nice. I say, yeah.
Love it.
Right. Now they've seen me. So from there, I always go like this. Now, before we get you accepted, this is how it's going to work. All right. It's kind of like when you apply for a car loan. Okay. They're going to need all your basic info because they're going to make sure you don't rob banks. Right. And that everything you're telling me about your health is true. Okay. So they need your first and last name, the address you want the policy sent to, height and weight, state you were born in, your social to verify your health, email, phone number. Got it? All right. Now, once we get you pre-approved, then from there, we're going to lock in these rates that we're looking at. And then we're going to put down the beneficiaries. We're going to assign a day for the policy to go into effect. Just so we're clear, you still get 30 days to look at everything and make adjustments. So you can move the policy up or down, side to side. It's like the Willy Wonka elevator, if you remember that. Whatever. Next thing. They're like, okay. Yep. And then we got to put down a financial institution. Just make sure there's nothing crazy going on. You know, you're not giving me Uncle Bob's bank account, no insurance fraud. Got it. You good with that? Okay, perfect. But I give everything up front because I want that quality expectation. And number two is I tie it to something they probably already done, like applying for a car loan. Like everyone's got a car, right? Everybody knows that process. Now they've seen me, they know what's going to be coming, and I've tied it to something relatable. And if they don't want to give me any of that information, then they'll tell me right then and there instead of me going into an application. And then I can handle it then.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So, you know, the old saying, people don't care how much you know, and until you know how much you care.
I always get that one.
So
I always mess that one up, Shannon.
Yeah, I just did it. I just screwed the pooch on that one for sure.
I'm serious. Then, I mess that one up all the time.
Yeah, and then you're explaining the process, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's in a relatable fashion because everyone knows, hey, it's kind of like when you fill out, you know, an application to buy a car or whatever, right? Yeah. And so that's huge, dude. We're big on that. So thanks for validating that, number one. Yeah, right. Sure. And it's funny that all of it, you know, you can go around all of FFL and ask all the top producers the same questions. Wylie, how many times do you think you're going to get the same answer?
Oh, I mean, everyone's going to be a little different. Yeah.
A little different, right? But, you know, pretty much the same ideas or.
Yeah, it's the same framework.
Yeah, the same framework. Absolutely. Now, man, you're just a wealth of knowledge, man. I don't know where else to go. Let's see here. Now, with your, let's wrap up with on the telesale side. Then I want to get into the schedule a little bit and then go into a little bit of recruiting because time is slipping away quickly, right?
Yeah, I'm good on time.
I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Now, how do you overcome You already explained the social, right? Now, when you're getting pushback for either the social and also the checking account, how do you handle that?
I typically don't get it.
Okay.
I'll be super blunt with people. So, all right, so let's say it's the Social Security, right? They're like, well, I don't want to give that to you. I'm like, got it. So just so you're on the same page, Shannon, I want you to understand something, okay? When you pass away, there's a death certificate that's issued. Now it's going to say Shannon, whatever, right? It's also going to have your Social Security number on there. Now, the only way the insurance company can tie your policy to your death claim is through that number. Does that make sense? So go ahead with your social.
There you go. Love that one. We use something very, very similar, right?
Yeah. So I usually explain it. And then if they give it to me again, I kind of just ask them like, okay, how else do you expect them to verify you?
Yeah, there you go. I love it. One of the things we say, Wylie, is, now, Wylie, in order to go ahead and verify your health, your prescription history, and to match the death certificate, your future death certificate to the policy, they need your social. What's that? Right.
Boom.
And typically you don't get a lot of pushback on that. But I think that, having a word track similar to that is very important. Now, what do you do? How are you handling the checking account verification or the account numbers? Because most people will give you that social, but they don't want to give you information about an account that they have $10 in.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to say that, but so what I do is, so when I get the banking, I always go, all right, so who do you bank with? They're like PNC. Got it. Hey, so Americo does a ton of business with PNC. How do you like them? We love them. They're fine. Got it. So on our system, we're pulling up the routing number as blank. Does that sound right? Let me see. And they grab their checkbook. Perfect. And then for important things like this, are we going to use checkings or savings? Checkings, go ahead with that number. Well, why do I need that? How else are you going to pay for this? My card. Yeah. So unfortunately, with insurance companies, they don't do cards actually to protect you, because when your card lapses, you lose it or something like that. If you can't make payments for 2 months, you've been paying it for 5 years, boom, the coverage lapses. This is in order to protect you. So again, just go ahead with the checkings.
Got it. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
I mean, I don't have the most strategic way to get over banking. Mine is like, well, how else are you going to pay for this? And I'll say it just like that.
But you sound confused there. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. You're lowering your tone. You're confused.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love that. I love that technique. Right.
Yeah. Pace is important. Like the pace. And if you ask the question, like, we have a question where, it's like, have you ever thought about, what would happen if you don't do anything today? And you say it like that. But if you're like, have you ever thought about if you don't do anything today? You see how that's different?
Right. Absolutely.
Like if y'all know Luka Doncic in the NBA, white dude from Europe, right? Guy's not the fastest guy in the court. The reason why he's so good is because he's got like 5 gears: slow, slower, slow, fast, and then kind of fast. But he's really good at switching between his gears. He'll go through the legs super slow, boom, explode, and then come back. So guys aren't used to that. Like Tyrese Maxey on the 76ers, if y'all know ball, like he's always in 4th and 5th gear. Like dude is always going. You know what pace he's at. So it's super important to deliver questions with a certain type of pace.
So cadence, tonality, right?
Yeah.
Super important. Now, all right, awesome. Now tell us a little bit about, I know what your schedule is, man, and I love it. I was talking to somebody else about it. I was like, the greatest thing about FFL is that you can have success based on, because we're all independent, business owners, right? And so you can have success based around what your schedule is. And so what does your daily success schedule look like? I know that you're going to the gym in the morning and everything else, but talk to us a little bit about your the schedule for sales and then also for recruiting, and then let's dovetail that into recruiting techniques.
Yeah, so it's super simple. I wake up, go to the gym. Well, I wake up, read the Bible, get in my notes, boom, go to the gym. After that, eat, and I'm on the phones, like ready, mind right at 10. And then what we do is from 10 to 11, I typically train like my base shop, so like new guys. So we'll spend 30 minutes going through scenarios that they, faced yesterday, that they want to go through that we couldn't cover. And then we'll go through something that's important, understanding chargebacks, how to keep clients on the books, whatever, 30-minute training. Then from there, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I dial till 6. So that's my time, 7 hours, boom, let's get it done, maybe till 7. After that, I go from about like 6 to 8 or 7 to 8. And I go through and I call all of my recruits in front of my whole team. So anyone that's DM me or that I've been DMing, we'll go through and I'll make all those phone calls and show people how to actively recruit, how to do interviews, how to overcome recruiting objections. And number 2, I'll call all the guys that are in my pipeline, start building a relationship with them. Hey, how's the course going? I can't really. Okay, I challenge them then. All right, why haven't you done that? Kind of confused, man. I just had a girl that has 3 kids. She just got it done in a week. You're at school, you're 24. Like, what's going on, man? Right? Yeah. So what's happening is, 1, people get to watch me close. I get to see them close. And then for the last 2 hours, they're watching me actively recruit, and they know how to do it. Because the lack of information is the only reason why you're at the 100K mark instead of the 200. You're just lacking a little bit of info. So if I can give my team the most amount of information, then they're going to be set up for success as long as they apply it.
Awesome. Love it. Now that's your schedule as an agency owner now. What was your schedule like when you were new into the business and you were desperate for money? You had to absolutely crush it. What did that look like? Were you in that 4th and 5th gear that you were talking about before, or was it a slower pace?
No, it was let it burn and just bowling and trying to shop. So my schedule was, I was up between 5 and 6 every day. I'd work out in the mornings. Boom. This was in the field. I was out the door by 7. And then from there, because I usually had to drive an hour to whatever location, I would work from 8 to 10 every night. And if I didn't have appointment at 8, I would go and door knock somebody. And if I didn't have appointments at 7:30 at night, I would door knock till 8:30, 9. And that was my schedule every single day. I just worked 12 hours a day for, it was 18 months every day. Now, I don't recommend that, but you always got to think about this. If you ran a restaurant, right, you're going to be in the restaurant every single day. Picture FFL as a restaurant. If y'all take 2 weeks off for managing your restaurant in your first year, the restaurant's going to go under, right? So that was my mentality, was I need to be there for the business. And then you can start building systems, processes, develop leaders that it's self-sustaining, right? And so that's the next phase that we're trying to get to.
That's awesome. So going back to what you were talking about earlier, when you're newer and you're looking to have that success and get the money, the cash flow going to get capital so you can go ahead and build a team, right?
Yeah.
And build those processes and systems in place that are necessary. You went right back to what it is that you were willing to do, but you also knew what you weren't willing to do, right? Mm-hmm. There you go. And you were probably very disciplined in your structure, right? In your daily schedule. Am I right?
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't break it. My ex-girlfriend hated me for that.
Well, that's why she's your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, no, I needed a good support system, and there's certain things.
Right back down to support, dude.
But in just my eyes, for me, it was me getting this business off the ground was at that time of my life more important than anything else.
Yeah. Well, Wylie, we got a few minutes left here, man, and I'm sure that we can. I'd love to have you on again at some other point. But being respectful of your time and everybody else's, we can go ahead and get our successful Saturday going, right? Help as many families as we can. Give us, a few parting words for, for anyone that may be struggling in the business, and also speak to the agents that are maybe having some success, and they want to get to that next level. What would be your pieces of advice for those individuals?
Yeah. So the first question, all right, if you guys are on this call and you're struggling and you're not where you're at, here's something to remember. The wise man wants to be in the house of sorrow, and the fool wants to be in the house of pleasure. And I remember looking down and reading that and being like, why in the world does the wise man want to be in the house of sorrow? This does not make sense to me. But what I realized is anytime you guys are facing adversity or you're at rock bottom or something hits, you start thinking, how in God's green earth did this happen? So you start looking at yourself and going, how did I get here? Right. So if you guys are in this point, like this is, you should be just very, very happy that you're at this place in your life. I count it all joy, right? Because what's going to happen is your perseverance is going to start coming through and you're really going to find out what you're made of, but you're also going to have to start making changes. Now, what I would recommend is think about who do you talk to, who's gone through these struggles. You guys could call me left and right. I'd be more than willing to work with you guys, Shannon, whoever, right? But now you got to figure out, all right, what's my path? Like, what's your next move? What are my 5 next moves? So the most successful people I know, they're 5 moves ahead. I'm going to do this, 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 this. Boom. All right. So that's what I would say for the person that's struggling. We've all been there. This is really going to be what makes or breaks you. And this is why it's called the 1%. It's because they're willing to go through this type of pain. Right now, but it counted all joy. Remember that. Now, for the person that's doing well and is looking to build, here's something that I'll say that's tactical that I think will help you guys is when you hire somebody, I think everyone can say that if they hire 10 people, how many you think is really going to come through? It's like 2, 3, whatever you want to call it. If you hire 100, like 10 people come through. It's like, whoa, where are we missing here? I hated that. So I was like, why don't I put a system together that accounts for this? So we do a 3-step interview process. If you guys are actively hiring, I highly suggest applying this and letting me know if it works or not. The first interview goes like this. Figure out what they dislike and like about their job. Figure out why are they in this situation now, and then figure out what they're looking for. So if they like freedom, if they like to be challenged and they do not like to be micromanaged, perfect. When you explain FFL to them, those are the points that you're going to harp on. So anytime people like something that can apply to FFL, harp on that point that FFL can provide for them. Now that's call number 1. Between calls, what I would recommend is sending them a small training or any type of video to watch, because you want to see if people are accountable. Hey, Georgia, I need you to watch this quick video. It's 5 minutes. Before we hop on the second call, I need you to have some notes and questions ready. Got it. If they do that and have questions ready, they're accountable and they're a student, which is what you want. The second call is called third-party validation. You want to get another agent on to share their story. Okay. So their story is going to be, hey, my first 2 months, I was only making 5, 2, 3, whatever it is, but now I'm upwards to 20,000. So it took me 90 days. Here's how hard I worked. Here's how many leads I bought. This is what I'm expecting for the next 6 months. And now they're like, okay, Wylie's talking, there's a lot of money, but I'm actually going to have to probably work 30, 60, 90 days to get there. Am I willing to do that? I am or I am not, right? But now they're hearing it from my mouth and another guy's mouth. So boom, the validation's there. The last call is this. My favorite question on this call is, hey, Shannon, if this was the best year of your life in terms of business, how much would you have made and what would that year look like for you? Let's say Shannon goes, man, I'm making $50,000 a year right now. I would like to make 200, 250. Awesome. That's $20,000 a month. Okay. Shannon, this is what we're going to do. That's $5K a week. In order for you to hit $5K a week, you have to spend X amount of leads, X amount on leads. You're going to have to work X amount of hours. You're going to have to do this many presentations. If you do 4 presentations, you'll close 1, right? Now, in their head, they're like, oh my gosh, I have everything down to the day, the week, the month on how I can achieve the best year of business for myself. You've done 3 calls. And what we talked about in the beginning is their belief is going to be through the roof. So when I tell them that, hey, you're going to have to go through licensing and contracting, they don't care about that. They're going to mow through that. That's nothing to them. Because all they're wanting is to start on that first week to get those 4 presentations, to close that 1 and start making progress towards that big goal. So you sell them on the dream, but you tie it to actionable steps. So if you guys are hiring, that has been the biggest change and honestly blessing for our group. In terms of like, I haven't hired anybody and everyone's came through so far. Okay. So I want to have the best contracting numbers in FFL. We were number 3 last year. I'm hoping to God we're number 1. But that's my goal, because it doesn't make sense for my admin to keep calling all these people and I'm paying her all this money and no one's doing anything. And I would rather hire 2 people a week that are going to come through than 100 people a month and 10 come through. Like, my bandwidth, it would just drive me crazy. So
wow. That makes complete sense, dude. Complete sense. No wonder your agency is exploding. Well, I hope everybody was taking notes, because I tell you what, Wylie, you nailed it. You crushed it. You brought insane value to this call today, and we appreciate you so much.
I appreciate it.
By the way, everybody, this call, you can rewatch it. Sue, our admin, has posted a link in the chat, which will be available, where you can go ahead and watch that and all the other recordings that we started a few weeks ago. But Wylie, my man, thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on board. Thank you so much for bringing this incredible value to the team today. Brian, we appreciate it so much.
No, I appreciate you guys. If you guys need anything, you can look me up on Instagram. It's just my name. Shoot me a DM and then I'll get back to all you. And Shannon, as always, dude, let's make it a good Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Look forward to collaborating with you this coming up year, dude. Yeah. I'll be definitely giving you a call.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Bye, Shannon.
Thanks so much, Wylie.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks, Wylie.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wylie.